A lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing.
Welcome back to Real Talk Corner in the building. I am your host, Ariana, the Quantum Healer. My co-host, Sabrina, she is not in with me today, but she will be back on some other ones. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about Ice Cube. There's been a lot of stuff. He's been talking, he's been speaking, and Ice Cube is probably one of the few rappers that probably did not sell their soul or get cloned. Um, he definitely made a name for himself. Not only in his rap career, we were all bumping Ice Cube. If you know, you know. And then he got into acting and just a lot of different things, projects, and really created wealth for himself and his family. But we're going to be looking at him because he's really blowing the whistle on a lot of shit when it comes to Hollywood and the elites and kind of putting people out there. Now we've seen when some people start doing this that all of a sudden they get attacked. So it's going to be pretty neat to see if Ice Cube gets to sit in his seat without, the Illuminati or the elites coming for him like they've done so many other big time people. So let's get into it.
Ever since I put out the contract with Black America, they've been here and there, this and that. But it's cool, I expect that.
I figured it out. I know who the gatekeepers are. And it all started right here with this interview. It all started with when Ice Cube made a contract for Black America and he presented it to the Democrats. He presented that contract to the Democrats, which is to better the community, better the wealth gap, do something great for his community. Shout out to him. He wanted to do the best that he could. So watch this.
Ice Cube. If you know anything about him, and you probably do, he started his career rapping in defiance about police presence and the realities of inner city life. And he got political with his songs as well recently during the Trump administration, most recently in 2018. Here's a taste.
Arrest the president. You got the evidence. That is Russian intelligence.
Now we see a shift. Now
You see what they did there? Ice Cube said, okay, I know how I used to feel. I know that the facts are that that's not the case. Well, I'm down to talk to. Just listen to this madness. Look how they try to frame this, bruh.
He wants to work with President Trump. Here's what the president had to say most recently about Black Lives Matter.
The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, I said, that's such a terrible term because it's such a racist term. It's a term that sows division between blacks and whites and everybody else. And it's a very bad term for blacks. But they were very angry. It's a Marxist organization.
With all that going on and how the president continues to speak about there being no systemic inequality, it's no shock that Ice Cube got some heat for deciding to work with the Trump administration. He wants to deal with it. I want to understand it. So should you. So here is Ice Cube on Prime Time. Thank you for taking the opportunity, brother. I appreciate it.
I just want to say before we get into it, I do agree Black Lives Matter isn't the best stance. I think when it was created, it had the best of intentions. And I've talked about this on a couple podcasts. But when you look at it, we only rally when it's white against black. We're not rallying when it's black against black. And that is a higher percentage in this country than white on black. And so that's my problem with Black Lives Matter is that we're not doing enough for the black on black crime. And or even domestic violence when it comes to black on black domestic violence with women and children. And I feel like that those are some of the things that we need to discuss, but that's a whole nother podcast. But hey, let people say what they want, right?
Thanks for having me. Chris, your lead-ins are a little misleading.
How so?
Well, the Platinum Plan is not my plan. I came up with the contract with Black America, and I didn't run to go work with any campaign. Both campaigns contacted me. Both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the contract with Black America.
Yep.
One campaign said, "We love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election." And one campaign said, "We love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it?" And that's what I did. So I didn't run to nobody. And so that was real misleading to me.
Well, I didn't say you ran to anybody. I said that you had taken a pivot.
Well, you said I ran over to the Trump team instead of the Biden team. That's just not true.
Well, but you are working with the Trump team instead of the Biden team, and people are giving you heat for it. What do you say to them?
Well, I'm willing to work with both teams, but I'm just working with whoever is willing to work with me. So the Trump campaign came to me and asked me to explain to them some of the contract with Black America. That's what I did. I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of a team. We have very broad problems, especially the wealth gap in this country when it comes to Black Americans. So I'm going to whoever's in power and I'm gonna speak to them about our problems.
He's getting slack from working with the Trump administration if that's something that that is gonna help his cause. I think that there's a lot of this bullshit, and I've seen this from when I was younger. This whole sellout shit. The second you make a move that may enhance or better your cause, you're a sellout. And you got to go where the people that want to assist you. Now, could there be bumps and obstacles in the road for him working with the Trump administration? Possibly. But when I look back when Trump was in, and I'm not even a Trump fan, but I seen a lot of ethnic people getting payouts when Trump was in office. So I think it's easy to be like, oh, he's racist, this, that, and the third, because what he did was expose a lot of racism that's in this country. And if it wasn't for him getting in the office, we wouldn't even have seen how bad it was. So I think we need to be a little bit appreciative because him going into office exposed a lot more shit that America wasn't ready for. America was like, oh my God, this is still a thing? Yes, right in your face, So I don't know why people are giving him slack for working with. It doesn't matter if he went to Biden or he went to Trump. Those are the top two administrations that have been in power and in power now. So if you're going to make real changes, you need to go with people who can help you make those changes. You need to go to people who can make moves. And so I don't see the problem with it. There's leaders and then there's people with money. Okay. Get it right, y'all.
Specifically, I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or.
Look at that. So you heard the song that Ice Cube made about Trump, and now he's like, yo, hold on. Maybe I got fooled. Maybe I'm playing a part of this 90% Black and 80% Hispanic vote. The minorities all voting for Democrats. I tell you, being awake is a very dangerous thing, and Ice Cube is facing the repercussions. The moment he decided to go from bashing Trump to maybe working with Trump, look at how they're trying to treat him. Look at now. Look at now.
Going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves. And that's what I'm going to talk to anybody who's in power with that. So if anybody got a problem with that, it seems like a personal problem.
I don't like when we don't allow people to change. Yeah, he wrote this song, he had the song, fuck Trump and all this stuff, but life changes you. Circumstances change you. Doesn't mean you're a sellout. Doesn't mean you're a piece of shit because you know your intentions. First of all, we could sit and we can assume this, that, and the third about somebody, but their intentions are going to be theirs, and it'll always be shown if those intentions aren't pure. But I do think people should be given the opportunity to change, to grow, and maybe take a step back in that self reflection and be like, you know what, maybe I'm part of the problem and not the answer. Let me start being a solution than creating more anger, because his song was fueling more anger, was fueling more hate towards the Trump campaign and anybody who liked Trump. I mean, I remember when Trump got into office, there were innocent people getting pulled out of their cars, white people, and getting beat for no reason, just because they were white. I think we have to take a step back and look at those things. And I think, regardless if you're Black or white, you need to take that step back and kind of look at things and be like, damn, maybe we're not moving forward in this way. Maybe we're not doing this in the right aspect. And maybe we're not helping the people that we're claiming to help. And so I think that self-realization is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So for him to be like, you know what, maybe I need to move a little bit differently. Maybe I'm not playing the game of life right, because this is a game and some of us ain't playing it right. So maybe he's like, let me try to change something. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, here's the problem, and it is very personal, as you know, for a lot of people of color, because they'll say, well, why would you pick Trump when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality?
I'm not picking nobody. He's the president.
But why do you think he'd want to do something for the community when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality?
I don't know what he want to do. I just know what the man said. I know what he said to the country. I've never met Donald Trump. So I don't know what he's going to do. I just know what he said he was going to do. So both of them have a plan. Both of them say they're going to do something. And who knows what's really going to happen after November 3rd? Nobody knows from each side. We're all hoping that candidates keep their campaign promises.
And what happened? What happened? What happened? Things got worse for you. Things got worse for mostly everybody. Nothing happened. Think about it. Think about all the moaning that Chris Cuomo is doing. He's not even with CNN no more. Think about what took place after this video. All the moaning. Oh, well, it's Donald Trump and he doesn't believe this and he doesn't believe that. Or we have to frame it this way. Propaganda. Come on, dude. What happened? Nothing happened. Black American contract, where is it at? We want to make the Black community a great place in this. What happened? They're not making that a priority. They don't want to. Right? Do Republicans want to? Well, they were willing to hear you out, and that's a problem. Look at what happened now.
That's just it.
So let's look at it this way. I think that you're right to be skeptical. Let's start with the Democrats, because even though there is a traditional connection between Black voters and the Democrats, you could also say you've been let down or forgotten by Democrats in a lot of situations that would have mattered. Then you say, all right, so then what makes one side better than the other? That's where you get in trouble, which is, do you really think that Donald Trump can be trusted as much as you could trust Joe Biden?
Oh, my God.
I don't think I'm not trusting any of them.
Exactly. I would say neither one of they ass can be trusted. If I had it, my vote, neither one of them would be president. I don't know why people are staking their claim on Trump or Biden. I don't think either of them should be in office. I think we have some better candidates, and you guys are going to be seeing them. I already did a show on Vivek Ramaswamy. which was an awesome candidate. I think you guys should take a look at that one. Go check it out. And he was really holding his own on the Breakfast Club. But we're going to do more on everyone else. But I definitely feel like you guys need to think more than just Trump and Biden. Me particularly, Biden is showing you guys what he's about. This man doesn't even have his fucking mind together. I don't know how he's going to lead for 4 more years. People behind him will be using his mental status to run the country through him, and he'll just be the crazy face of what he's doing. I don't think anyone should vote for him, to be honest. But that's my take. Neither one of them should. But hey,
I'm just going by action.
Yes.
That's all I'm going by. I'm not going by words. I'm not going by rhetoric. Not going by media spin. Not going by none of that. You know, I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not on Team Blue. Not on Team Red.
So then I have that wrong.
I'm an independent person, and I believe that's what Black people need to do is become independent, and we need to get something for our vote. You know, that may not happen, but it's gonna happen.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Look, if I had brought you here to fight with you, you would have known it. What I'm saying is, I think I did get it wrong, and I want to make sure I get it right. So saying you're working with the Trump team is wrong. What you did was, when they asked to talk to you about it, you said yes. If Biden had asked to talk to you about it now, you would have gone to them the same way. It's not about you choosing anything. It's you working with everybody who's got a chance of doing anything.
I'm working with whoever's in power. Yeah, I'll work with both. Whoever's in power, I'm going to work with. So whoever wins, they'll hear from me.
Okay, so I'm glad you came to clear it up.
Let's do the math on what Ice Cube made a very viral video recently about the gatekeepers and what they're trying to do to him and all these different things. And he said, once again, ever since I made the contract for Black America, what happened?
And I think there's maybe a couple more videos on TikTok I will put in between this so you guys can see those of Ice Cube talking about the gatekeepers. Okay. We know that's going to be a thing to a certain extent. So now what's going to happen? So I guess he made that song and then he was on the show. And like everything, I don't think he should give up. I think he should still move forward despite whoever goes in office to, I'm not sure of the contract. I'll try to see if there's anything more on the contract of what he's talking about, the contract for Black America. And hopefully it's something that whoever's in power can uphold and can work with him on that if he's really trying to assist, right? But we're gonna watch Piers Morgan with Ice Cube. He has him recently on, and he did an interview. So let's check that one out.
Let me ask you this: there's been a lot of stuff about the state of the world, about the state of America. Let me ask you this: there's been a lot of stuff about the state of the world, about the state of America. Where do you see things right now?
I think people are very polarized in all kind of ways. People are afraid to speak out because of the cancel culture that we have today. So I just think, people are afraid and they're running to their corners, In
a way, it is a cancel culture. It behaves like that.
It does, because it makes not only the person that's getting canceled, they're trying to shut them up, but anybody's watching now, they shut up because they say, if it can happen to this guy, it can happen to me. So by smashing.
I do agree with that tremendously. I think cancel culture, it's enough is enough. I think that, we talk about freedom of speech until someone says something that we don't like. And then as soon as someone says something we don't like, it's like, oh, how dare you say that? And it's like, we have freedom of speech. And this is why we are able to talk about these things. This is why we're able to sit and have these discussions and talk about what we feel about things because we have freedom of speech. But as soon as you do that, YouTube, TikTok, and all these places are shutting us down. So even on our platforms, we have to be very careful of the terms. If we say certain words too many times, we get dinged and we get flagged. So I do feel like people, again, I said this on one of the other shows that I did, that we're in this society of weaklings. Everybody gets super fucking offended. Everybody takes everything so personal. And if everyone is not doing everything possible to make you feel better about yourself, you're gonna sue, or you're gonna this. You can kind of sue for anything these days. So I think it's sad that we're not able to sit and just openly talk about things. There's a way to talk about things where you're not demeaning. There's ways to say things where you can actually have a conversation with someone in a way where it's not demeaning. But I think everyone gets so offended with shit that people say that you can't even have a regular conversation without someone being offended or getting offended or taking what you say and wanting to cancel you and coming for you. And I just think it's bullshit. Even like someone who is racist, that's their freedom of speech. Now, we can go all day, go back and forth about it, but it is their freedom of speech. We don't have to like it. I don't gotta like what you say. I don't gotta agree with that shit. But that's their fucking freedom of speech. That's what they feel. And again, we like freedom of speech up until the point when someone's saying something that we don't agree with, and then all of a sudden we want to cancel them. And so I just think we need to do better as a society about that.
Actually, somebody who says something that you might not like and canceling them, it actually reverberates throughout the whole community, and everybody now is watching what they say all the time.
Well, see, what's the answer to this? Because I think it's crazy that in a democracy like the United States, like the United Kingdom, that people are too frightened to speak their mind, to say what they think. What do we do about this?
I think you say what you want to say, and to hell with the consequences. You got to be willing to fight for your rights and fight for what you believe in. And if you're a person who believes in freedom of speech, you have to fight and say what you feel and let the chips fall where they may, and stand on that. And, it may not be an easy road, but I think you feel better about yourself when you say what needs to be said at the time it needs to be said, and not afterwards, where you go home and think, I should have said this when that guy was there, or when I was there, I should have said that and I didn't.
Get so afraid to lose that money. I see these, influencers, and people are so afraid to lose that influence money. But I say it all the time. I will never sell my soul to be popular on any one of these social media places. I will never sell my soul to do it. I don't care. I'm not going to hush hush. Like I said, I do have to be careful with some of the words that I do say, so I'm not flagged, but I won't just agree to what I don't agree with. I'm not going to sit here, you guys, and lie to you about how I feel just to be popular, just to be cool. I'm going to say how I feel about this shit, and speak my mind about it. Again, freedom of speech. But I do feel like you have to stop being afraid. This whole society is built on fear of this, fear of that, fear of what people are going to think about you. And when you live in that type of scenario, that's entrapment. You're just trapped in this box of fear, and no real way to kind of move or grow. You're just sitting here. So how is that really helping you, though? I don't really see how it is.
That haunts you more.
You can definitely say what the hell you like on this show. It's called Uncensored for a reason.
Well, that's why I'm here, man. That's
You've
what
always
I'm
been
all about.
uncensored. Let me ask you this: is America more racist or less racist than when you were a kid?
I think it's pretty much the same, because it's institutionalized, and the institution takes on different faces, so to speak. But I don't know if racism in the financial sector or has gotten any better. We still have a hard time getting capital when we need it. We still have a hard time having that access to to those, currency streams that's out there. And so it affects us in the same way. In 1865, Black people own um, maybe 1 or 2% of America. And I believe we're still in that same place.
Is that right?
Yeah,
It's barely changed.
barely's changed. In some ways, it's gotten worser. I mean, worser, but it's gotten worse. I think the Corner Commission did something in 1968 about the poverty in America and how it affects all the people, and we're worse than we were in 1968.
They talk about that where in the 60s how civil rights and all of these things were being implemented, but the structure was to break down the Black family, and we know that it's true. There's so much truth to that, where the families were broken down, and one of the main cultures in America that were broken down. But you guys got to see that nowhere has anyone tried to rebuild. That's why it's the same. There's the cycles of the single mother, the father in jail, the father dead, in these cycles. And look at the culture. A lot of people don't even want to be associated with the Black culture in many ways. But you see it, welfare and projects and these places that they got these low rents. And me and my co-host talked about this on another one of our shows, where people didn't want to give up their housing projects to go and make it out there. They were just going to sit in this ghetto, in this project, because they can pay $20 a month or $100 a month on rent. Instead of changing and growing and purchasing and buying those homes. I talked about it where I've seen single moms who have got like 10 grand back on one IRS check. And they could have saved that up 3 years and had the down payment to a house and move their kids into a better community. I think that we can sit and blame society all we want to, but there are so many avenues that people need to look in front of them and say, damn, I actually got a lot of money this year. And what did I do with this money? I got these food stamps that are supplementing cash. And so what do I do with my cash while I have this? I think that there's a lot of conversations that we're not saying, and it's easy to blame somebody else and say they're the problem. But I think a lot of the Black community needs to look in the mirror on a lot of ways. Now, I'm not saying that does not take away a lot of the financial institutions, but like I said, I have seen it. People get 7, 8, 10 grand 1 year, not multiple years, 1 year. And if you put that in a savings account, next year you do your taxes again, boom, that's another 7 to 10 grand sitting in there. That's your down payment. 2 years would have been a down payment, but go ahead and do 3 years, boom, that's your down payment. But you got people that aren't. They get that taxes, they go fuck it off, they spend it up, they live for a month, they big balling for a month, and most people are getting their cars repoed 3 months later. So again, I do understand that there's a lot of it, but I feel like a lot of people make it easy for the institutions to be like this. I feel like we have to do more of pushing the community to be honest with ourselves, looking in the mirror and being like, you know what? I need to take a financial literacy class because I'm not understanding how to really maximize the money that I get. I'm not understanding how to really save. I don't have no money in my savings. I'm over here fucking money off on this, that, and the third, and we can say, oh, I got childcare. I got this. Most low income people have government assistance paying for childcare. So complaining that you're paying for childcare when you're not even paying, because the people who aren't on low income, they're paying probably like $1,500 a month for daycare or, childcare services, where you got people on low income that aren't paying anything because those are paid services through the government. And I think there's a lot of that we're not being honest here. We're not talking about the governmental programs that are in place for low income families. And for you to qualify, you got to stay in a low income family. And so that's a lot of households that don't put the father on the lease. The father's not living there so that they can qualify for all these services, but we're not taking these services and we're not utilizing these services to build, to grow, and to move forward. we're getting stuck in these services. And so again, I think that's a bigger conversation that we need to have. And I think that we need to sit and be honest. Not everybody is stuck with no help. A lot of people out here are getting a lot of services and a lot of checks, but they're fucking it off. They get high, they get drunk, all this other shit. Whether even if you're not a person who drinks, but you're spending it on bullshit, you're buying clothes all the time. What do you need all this clothes for? Most of y'all got a bunch of shit in your closet that you don't even fucking wear. New shit with tags on it that you don't even wear. What? Just to say, getting Gucci bags and all this shit. I think when you're trying to grow and build and purchase something and make moves, you're going to take a step back and start looking at the things. What's a necessity right now? Like, I know I'm making moves. I don't got my nails done right now. I'm making financial moves for myself. So I have cut a lot of things out of my life that right now in this moment, I don't feel is a necessity. And I feel like that's the problem with a lot of not just the Black community, a lot of people, especially in today's world, we're not financial literate. We don't know how to sacrifice in the right ways to gain, to grow, and to get out of poverty. We're so used to all the benefits that we get in being low income that we choose to stay in low income so that we can keep getting these kickbacks. But it's a deadly cycle that we just stay in for generation to generation. So we did talk about this on other podcast shows, and we went into this because it is a cycle, and a lot of us can attest to it. That where we were raised, I was raised with two parents who, my whole life, we were on welfare. There was no incentive for them to go to work. Going back to work or the GAIN programs or those programs didn't kick in until probably the 90s when Clinton was in office, and so my whole childhood, I was raised in the welfare system. So when you look at the 60s and 70s and 80s, people were okay to live and make a full-time gig off of welfare and food stamps. And so these are conversations that we're not having. We're not being honest about how we were raised and some of the choices that our parents made. And so then, we had our generation. I was one of the few that broke out of the cycle because I did not want to be in the cycle of a welfare mother. Even though I was a single mom, I chose to go work. I did get some of the, program benefits of childcare, things like that, being a single mom. Didn't get child support, so I didn't have no help there. But there were programs that actually assisted, emergency programs and things like that I've had. I had Section 8 for a few years, when I was in my 20s. So I feel like we got to be a little bit honest about, some things. I know when I was in my 20s and I was on Section 8, shit, I was unemployed. I didn't pay no rent, my rent was paid in full. But I utilized that time. I went back to school. I think that we have to look at things for what it is, and we have to be more responsible, and we have to actually take advantage of these programs and not stay and make it a crutch. And so I think those are some of the conversations that we need to have. So you guys definitely drop me a comment and let me know what you think about that.
You turned down a $9 million movie role in 2021 because you wouldn't take the COVID vaccine. It was being mandated in Hollywood at the time. Any regrets? There's a lot of money.
Not at all. Not one regret.
My thought when I heard that story? You must be even richer than I think you are.
I mean, everybody can use $9 million. I don't care how rich they think they are. Everybody can use that money. I could have used that money. My family could have used that money. But I felt like, your health is worth more than all the money in the world. Because if you had all the money in the world and you wasn't healthy, you would use that money to get healthy. So to me, it was an experimental drug, and they had no time to really see the long-term effects like most. And I'm vaccinated. I've been vaccinated when I was a kid, but these are drugs that have been tested for decades, and pretty much most of the side effects.
I mean, ultimately, I felt about COVID vaccines that once it was established against what they initially thought, that you could still transmit the virus, whether you were vaccinated or not, to me, it becomes a personal choice. Then it's down to you.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, the pharmaceutical companies made a lot of money. Businesses closed. It's like an incentive, even when things are not going right, to keep going. It's kind of like the war machine. You know, if you make the bullets and the band-aids, you're gonna always want to be in war because it's profitable.
Have you worked out who you're going to vote for next year?
No.
It's what we would call in Britain a Hobson's choice.
What's that mean?
It means it doesn't matter which way you go, you're going to get screwed. I mean,
Wow.
Joe Biden looks like he barely knows what day it is. Donald Trump might be in a prison cell. So if that's the choice, what does it say about America?
That, you know, America needs to re-examine where we are, where we're going, who we want to lead us, and what kind of country we actually want to be. You know, a lot of choices. You know, I've become independent in all this because I like to sit back and see, you know, who's really gonna be the best choice. Unfortunately, the choices are not always top notch, so to speak.
Have you thought of running yourself?
Oh, I would never run.
There might be a vacancy now. Kanye ceded the territory.
Nah, I don't want to be a politician. You know, they can king me. Make me king. I'll be a king.
Well, actually, I always felt if it hadn't been for King George III being so useless, you could still have the monarchy here, and it could be King Piers. I mean, right? I could share the throne with you. Yeah. King Piers and King Cube. What do you think?
Hey, I think it's only room for one king, man. You know what I'm saying?
Are you telling me to move?
Interview, not what I was expecting, but it's a cool interview. Yeah, I think people need to really look at who they're voting for before they vote. What couple things I was looking at, you know, with Ice Cube, I know I wanted to get more on his what is he doing kind of thing. And one of the things I didn't like is that, you know, a lot of these stars, I don't see them really involved in communities, and I don't hear how they've taken millions of dollars to buy up the block in the hood and redevelop and do these redevelopment. Now, you know, maybe he's tried and maybe it hasn't worked. I haven't seen him do that. I try to look up charities or foundations. This was what comes up. The causes. I want to look more into the cause that he's doing, but I mean that's all you see. So unfortunately, it kind of gets to this place where it's like, what are you really doing for the Black community? But I did come across this Forbes issue where it looks like he's trying to get the NFL to land more businesses. So to get more Black businesses when it comes to the NFL contracts. Now, I don't know exactly what that is. Going to read a little bit of it. The NFL is partnering with entertainer Ice Cube. When was this? This was June 30th, 2022. So that was last year that this was out. PAC to aid Black-owned businesses and combat the growing wealth gap in America. The league said it committed over $100 million to causes that assist. Contract with Black America Institute, or CWBA, an initiative Cube launched with longtime media executive Jeff, going to mess up his name, during the 2020 presidential campaign. It calls for the NFL to steer more business to Black companies in various sectors, including consumer services and technology. Now, what does that really mean? Okay, somebody tell me. Drop me a comment if you know. The contract's sports industry economic development plan requests that sports leagues and teams hire exclusively Black companies for food vendors and stadiums, including more Black manufacturers, production companies, and marketing and advertising agencies in the league. Okay, all right, not bad. I get it. Jackson says he wants to add other sports leagues, including ML, blah, 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 blah. What does that do for the actual Black neighborhoods? I like this. You guys, don't get me wrong. I like this. I like that we're partnering up people who have businesses to come and get paid. but what are we doing for the actual community? There's so much that needs to be done in the projects, in the ghettos, in the really poverty-stricken places, neighborhoods. I don't see many people, besides Nipsey Hussle, who got gunned down, that was actually creating establishments in the hood. I haven't seen a lot of people do that. Is that because that's the reason? Because they're, afraid for their lives if they do that? I don't know, So, I mean, I like this. I think them opening up for more businesses is awesome. I feel like if you're someone who gets to put your business in there, and make that money in any of this would be a really good factor. I don't know if this is something that is happening. I'll have to look a little bit further and see if this is something that happened and see if the NFL is honoring this. But for the most part, I did find this one video on Ice Cube. We're going to watch it about the gatekeeper. Going to go a little bit more into that. But, I would love to see more of these millionaires and billionaires, Blacks, who are talking about the economic struggle for Black families to get out there in the poverty stricken community and make the changes there. Whether you buy a building and redevelop it, you guys have money to do so. There's a tons. I mean, some of these stars and musicians make bank. And why isn't there more coming together and starting these, not foundations, start a company, start a redevelopment company, and start going in and redeveloping crime-ridden communities in cities and paint and refurbish and come together with the community and the people who want to change. I would love to fucking see that, but you know what? We never do. We never do. It's always something else. And this contract just looks like a business contract. Money, ways for Ice Cube to make money. I don't really see it as him investing in Black businesses himself or going out there into the actual community. So can't say rah, Ice Cube right now, because doesn't really seem like, you're putting in that effort where the effort needs to be, in my opinion, anyway. I could
Yo,
be
what's
wrong.
cracking? You know what it is. It's your homeboy Ice Cube. And some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing. So ever since I put out the contract with Black America, they've been fucking with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, I expect that. I've been working with, on the big three for a long time. And you know how they've been fucking with me with that. I done made it, plain, simple, and clear what they've been doing. The NBA been fucking with us. Now, a lot of people might say, like, well, but Cube, you want to work with the NBA. Really, I don't give a fuck about working with the NBA. What I want them to do when I say work with us is to stop working against us. Stop doing that bullshit behind the scenes that we know you're doing. Mainstream media, they ain't fucking with us. And that's cool. We can do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We still on the rise without these motherfuckers. So we don't need them. You don't need them. So what am I going to do to deal with these motherfucking gatekeepers? Well, what I'm going to do is go on a Fuck the Gatekeepers podcast tour. And I'm going to go talk to everybody, and get a chance to get my message out to the people. Be able to let people hear from me, and you might agree, you might not, but the important thing is, for me to go on these platforms, say what I feel about what I think. And, some people may get pissed off because I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm not playing. And it's gonna be a crazy summer. It's gonna be fun. Appreciate y'all. Always support the big three. Hopefully I'm doing stuff that you guys dig. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for people that's bored as fuck in the summer with summer sports and want something cool like the big three. So here we are. Appreciate you. Much love, much respect from your homeboy Ice Cube. Remember that.
There we have it. I don't know. Like I said, I know that there's a lot of blocks out there, and there's got to be ways to maneuver without. But then again, I don't know. I don't know all of the different stops in the background. So you guys drop me a comment and let me know. I'm glad that he's out there doing his thing. I'm glad that he's bringing a voice. He's someone who's famous. So when he's out here speaking, people are going to watch it because it's Ice Cube. It's not like my channel where, only a few hundred are watching right now. So I think it's awesome that he's out there bringing some awareness to some things that maybe a lot of us aren't aware of. Maybe we're not as aware of what's going on, and maybe we need to look at things a little bit differently. But I still go back to people needing to go back and changing the game from the ground floor out, doing those grassroots growth. And I think that is how we change generations. And, again, if you look at some of the things about being inclusive, all of these things, and I think we're trying to fit into spaces we don't need to. We just need to create spaces. And, when you create your way, someone can't take away something that you've created, something that you've initiated. It's yours. And so just I'll leave you with that. You guys drop me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about Ice Cube and what he's been doing, and what he's talking about and how you feel about that. And then, leave some comments for them. Who knows, maybe Ice Cube will watch this, and he'll see your comments, letting him know what he should be doing, where he should be helping the Black community more. All right, you guys, until next time, y'all already know what it is, because I always got some shit to say on Real Talk Corner. Bye.